presentation, but before that, I would definitely thank Professor Kaushik for having given such a splendid, elaborated presentation, wherein he has done my job a bit easier, because I too have included some basic biological aspects of the coronavirus, which I want to rush through because of the paucity of times. Okay, so I'm operating from my side.
Yes, yes. Carry on, please.
Okay.
Please.
So the pandemic, everybody knows. Any common man on the street also these days talking about corona. And as one of our, I think Dr. Shada Mahapatar, he himself had told something on Facebook sometime, that how come people forget about virus, they have started talking about RT-PCR also. So these terminologies have become so common, and I think that is the silver lining of all the difficulties that we are going through. This pandemic has made people more aware than ever about any other malady ever appeared in the human history. So I don't need to go through this detail. That's why I wanted to tell you in the introduction itself, that with the disclaimer, that I'm not telling anything new than what is already available in the public domain. And though I'm trained in biotechnology, I'm not a trained virologist. So whatever little knowledge I have gathered through open access sources on the public domain, that only I'm going to present. So I don't think it will be very difficult to follow. Moreover, I was following all the participants. I think most of them are learned biologists, so it won't be very difficult to follow the slides. So I won't speak much. I'll simply rush through the slides. As I told you, the main contention now is to contain the spread of the virus. And in order to do that, all the strictures at the government level has been imposed on us, with the main motive to delay the spread of the infection first and foremost, so that there will be breathing space to all of the medical staff, more important in the hospitals, and all people engaged in the front line, to prepare themselves to face the peak. But nonetheless, the medical emergency is there, the prevention and cure. As World Bank had declared it to be a peak, I think all of you know the public health emergency of international concern. And the World Bank declared on 30th January it to be a pandemic. And by the time the damage has already started doing. And yesterday, I was watching one as a partner in the FDP conducted by Indraprastha University, Delhi, wherein the National Institute of Immunology Director, ODIA person, Dr. Amilya Kishore Panda, you all might be knowing, he told, we have come to the danger level that even public sewerage also, the traces of coronavirus is now detected. So when we are all that far into the pandemic nature of the coronavirus, I don't think it will be a big deal to deliver common things that are already known to the public through this webinar. I would wish henceforth any webinar to do more serious research oriented presentations, so that more than the common knowledge about coronavirus, the academics will get a chance to know. So as the Professor Kaushik has already told, the MERS, SARS, and the new novel coronavirus now, which has been renamed or rechristened as COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2, earlier it was initially known as novel coronavirus 2019. Now, as I was a bit concerned to know more from Professor Kaushik, whether he'll be going to hit upon the naming of the virus and the controversy regarding the naming of the virus, World Health Organization vis-a-vis the Wuhan Virology Institute and the US establishment, nothing has been told so far. Hence, let us move ahead with the COVID-19 naming, or more popularly SARS-CoV-2 naming. As he has already told, it is a single stranded positive strand RNA virus, and it is zoonotic in nature. What is zoonotic? You already know. So it gets transmitted through animals. And this is the popular picture. I think most of you have already gone through that. How come the possible origin? So far, nobody is ascertaining the real origin from bats, since Wuhan Institute of Virology have done a lot of research on virus originated in the bat family. But even then, they are not telling clearly whether these corona SARS-CoV-2 virus have actually originated from bats. But nonetheless, the virus genomic sequences they have already made public long since. And on that basis only, the taxonomists presume that these possible transmittance pathway may be the possibility. Likewise, here you can see the SARS-CoV has got the possible transmitters to pangolin and snakes. Still, there are big questions with regard to the intermediary vectors. Anyway, since it has already reached the human population, let us have a vague idea about how it got transmitted from all animal groups to human race. Now, as he has already told, out of the 7 popular earlier virus family of the corona, the SARS-CoV-2 is the latest, about which hardly anything is known till March, April. Excepting the genomic sequence, that also not the entire genomic sequences is known yet, and the entire the protein profile is also has not been made public. And that is precisely the reason. Since we don't have any idea about the origin of the virus, I mean the animal origin, and at the same time, we don't have a detailed idea about the genomic sequences as well as the protein profile of the virus, problem arises. Not only in terms of understanding the basic biology of the virus, but in the preparing the diagnostic reagents as well as the detection and treatment profiles. As somebody told, Medawar, he is popularly known to give this quote that simply a piece of bad news wrapped up in proteins. That is what in 1970s a virus was very unpopular with. But still, even bad news is that the SARS-CoV-2 has got a very complex, very long and mostly unknown form of genetic material. Why I'm telling unknown in the sense, as Professor Kaushik has told, he with all certainty he's told that it is from Wuhan, but then Wuhan people are yet not admitting that the virus is originated from Wuhan laboratory or the wet market. Nonetheless, since all the techniques are available to public in order to go through the sequences, they have with utmost near certainty telling that the origin may be from the Wuhan. If not, the laboratory may be somewhere in the cave where all the bats are dwelling. Anyway, the problem with the virulence, problem with the transmissibility, as well as the antigenicity, and most important, resistance. These are the 4 cornerstones while undergoing viral research, especially with regard to SARS-CoV-2. I'm rushing through the slides. I hope all of you will follow, especially the participants, those who are not online, I mean on video, they can definitely go through. Earlier, people were talking about, as I told you, the virus, Wuhan people had made public the genomic sequences of the coronavirus, COVID-2 virus. But then, of the 10 subgenomic RNA, what is subgenomic? I hope already know. The RNA viruses, the main genetic material is RNA, but here there are so many subgenomic RNA molecules which are synthesized once the virus gets into the host. That's why the problem, because we can have trace of the genomic RNA of the virus, but then it's very difficult to get trace of all the subgenomic RNAs which are released en masse once the virus gets into the host. However, as scientists have zeroed in into 9 subgenomic RNAs till date, and the high resolution map of the new coronavirus, as I have given you, gives the entire RNA, main RNA pictures, which we call as transcriptomes, and of course the subgenomic RNA molecules, which comes under the epitranscriptome. But more important, once the virus gets into the body, as Professor Kaushik has already told, once it gets accepted by the ACE2 receptor on the cell, it releases a cytokine storm. We all know the cytokines. The first response of immune system body is to release a storm of cytokines, and which in fact is the main reason for this acute respiratory distress syndrome, which are popularly known as ARDS. And this is the main reason of death. Majority of at least 80 to 90% of the death is due to this ARDS. Now, the details of the structure of the coronavirus is almost a kid's knowledge these days. Everybody talks about the capsomeres, everybody talks about the 4 types of structural proteins and a whole range of non-structural proteins. But then, as I told you about the proteomes of coronavirus, it is also equally important and sometimes more important in detecting as well as treating the viral symptoms. So it was of course a old news. I think 2 months back that 29 Magic was doing rounds, wherein people talked about all these proteins, which includes all the non-structural proteins as well as the structural proteins. But then scientists have zeroed in onto these 4 proteins, that is the E protein, the envelope protein, the membrane protein, the viral nucleoprotein N, but most importantly and most talked about is the spike protein, which is a trimeric, as everybody knows. And here I have given a comprehensive picture. I think all these things, as I told you, I have borrowed from the uh, internet domain only. But here it is clearly shown. This one picture will give you an overall idea how this is our 10th, 12th class biology. How come a virus get an entry to the host cell? But here the genome is an RNA molecule, as I told you in the beginning, that is a positive strand, so it doesn't need to take help of the host machinery. Directly it can create its own or synthesize its own proteins. That way, first it takes the help of course, the ribosomes of the host cell, and it produces its own proteins to synthesize the first negative strand and all the accessory proteins that are necessary to do this first transcription from its positive strand to transcribe the first negative strand inside the host cell, which eventually gets associated with its corollary proteins, which it itself has synthesized. As you know, the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase will be first synthesized, and once the negative strand is transcribed from the positive strand of the coronavirus inside the host cell, the negative strand will take help of the photosynthetic machinery of the host cell, protein synthetic machinery of the host cell, and it will go on synthesizing its all necessary N, S, E, and other necessary proteins. Then eventually, as it gets into the nucleus, into the vesicles, then Golgi bodies will release, after the assemblage of all the necessary envelope, the transcribed RNA, all the subgenomic necessary RNAs, they will take help to ultimately assemble all the new phage particles or the coronavirus particles in millions, then it will blast. Okay. So having this basic idea, because it is a single stranded positive RNA, it behaves differently, where the so-called reverse transcriptase is not the first place, or the first place, then later on it doesn't need any reverse transcription, because once it synthesizes its negative strand, by taking help of the cell host machinery, it can go on synthesizing its proteins and other necessary subgenomic RNAs. Okay. Now, as I told you, the specific issues at hand are what are the detection, as I told you, because that is the first step by which you can ensure who are the carriers, who are the people showing symptoms, and who are the asymptomatic carriers. Hence, the detection of the carriers is more important. And later on comes the therapeutics and the treatments. Now, for detecting the virus in the carriers, what are the tools at hand? Everybody talks about RT-PCR. It has become a very common word. And RT-PCR, though it is still very costly per test, as we all know, it costs around 4,500 rupees. But that is the only genetic material since at hand, and that is the mostly available detection techniques at hand that we are all following. As I told you, the PCR machine is a must. All heat blocks and all agarose amplification and fluorescent emission equipments are necessary, and it makes this detection test very costly, because it not only needs all these things as I enlisted, but all trained people, and it limits the number of samples that can be tested at one go, and it needs at least 4 to 5 hours. But I'm still in doubt why at all we are not going for newer techniques for detection. Eventually I will show you what are the detection techniques available at hand at laboratory level. Of course, maybe all the multinational pharmaceuticals companies, therapeutics, we all know what all can be the therapeutic agents and the therapeutic vaccine agents. The proteins can be, but then for that protein you have to purify all the proteins from the infected people or from the virus itself. any case, this is a very extensive work and a very elaborate work with all specificity and sensitivity it has to be carried out. And among the antiviral targets in the sense the targets on the virus itself, they can be proteases that can kill the envelope proteins. Most importantly, the spike proteins, as Professor Kaushik has already told. The first connection made by virus to the host is the spike protein, the trimeric spike protein, which has got two epitopes in that. One is S1 and S2. People have done research that all the N, M, E, and S proteins of virus, all the three except the S are highly conjugate. Almost 99% of these protein profiles are conjugate, are similar to all other virus, MERS, SARS, 1 and all that. Only the spike protein, that too S1 epitope of the spike, has got 685 amino acids, of which again 70% of the amino acids are conjugate. Only 30% of these amino acids are novel, which are subject to all research, because precisely that amount of the spike S1 proteins or the epitopes which are responsible for contacting with the S angiotensin converting enzymes 2 on the host, which acts as the receptor, the connecting link between the virus and the host. Now, research are telling that how come human beings are only susceptible and making conformational change in their ACE2 to get established to the spike S1 epitope. That's why there is a doubt that maybe the spike protein has been genetically engineered and made a part of the spike protein so that it can specifically establish a connection with the ACE2 enzyme receptor on the host. So these are the vaccine strategies. If you go with the virus, we all know, we have studied it in class 10, 11, 12, how the virus vaccines are prepared. They can be inactivated viruses, they can be live killed or attenuated viruses like virus-like particles. There can be viral vector-based vaccines like adenovaccines Professor Kaushik was talking about. They can be subunit vaccines that part of the capsid or part of the subgenomic RNA of the virus. Or they can be recombinant proteins like now people are talking about, Professor Kaushik also talked about. I will also address to that aspect when I talk about the therapeutics. Now, DNA vaccines are also come up, but then it will take a long time, not before 1.5 years it will come into the public. So, as I told you, most important is the nature of the RNA while we hit the therapeutic strategies, because it's a different RNA. The sequence though is known, the way it synthesizes the proteins are only 70% conserved and 30% we do not know. Its first enzyme, that is the RNA dependent RNA polymerase, is that target. Once you break this by protease or any such catalyzing or enzyme breaking targets, we can block the proliferation of the virus once it's into host. So at what point through molecular biology techniques and biotechnology we can intervene? As I told you, at 2 steps we can intervene, biotechnologically or molecular biological strategies we can adopt. First, at the detection level or identifying the infected population so that we can check the potential spreader. Then the next is we can intervene at detecting antibodies. These are all detection level antibodies against virus, and thus identify the currently infected as well as coalescent. Now, once you detect the potential carriers, if they are infected for a considerable period of time, it is obvious that they might have developed some kind of antibody. Since it is the first time the virus has been detected, there is no antibody history of this virus. Hence, the first infected people's blood serum can be collected. These are known as coalescent patients, from whose serum we can definitely isolate the antibodies which can be used as an antidote to spread further infection. As I told, at what point we can intervene? At the virus genome level, that is an RNA, or at a virus protein level. At virus genome level, we all know the most adopted technique for detection is RT-PCR. And what are the genetic molecular strategies that can be adopted to produce therapeutics, that I will discuss later on. But how to intervene through a molecular biology strategy, or in a broader sense in a biotechnological strategy, is to hit the RNA genome first or the virus genome first, and then of course try on the proteins. Okay, now as I've already told you, somebody's calling. Okay, now here I think the slide I said earlier, somehow this caption was missing. As I told you, why only RT-PCR? RT-PCR, as I told you, simply the virus genome, that is the RNA is taken, it has transcribed to reverse transcription into a cDNA, which again amplified following the standard norms of polymerase chain reaction. That is precisely done, where you need to